569 Mississippi State. Tennessee has a new quarterback commitment in the 2027 class. We will update you on him. We will talk what's going on in the world of college football, off the field, projections on the field. We'll get to all of that over the next 3 hours. Every day we are presented by Junk Beyond, and each and every day you hear Tennessee's VFL former wide receiver Jason Swain on the show. Swain, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good, man. I know you are good to go. Plenty of rest for a 9 p.m. tip tonight, man. Yeah, let's go, Josh Ward. Yes. It's good to get, a couple days of rest. You've had Friday, you had Monday and Tuesday, not counting the weekend days to rest.
Throw those in there too.
Yeah, throw those in there too, to rest and get your energy up for a nice 9 p.m. tip tonight, my man. Woo, it's going to be a good one.
We have a policy on this show of no complaining. Doesn't do you any good. Nobody wants to hear it. So I am not going to complain about the absurdity of a 9 o'clock tip-off. Time that is honestly not even real, because realistically that game will tip off in the 9:10 to 9:15 range if we're being realistic, with the Florida-Georgia game also scheduled at 7 o'clock on the same network of ESPN2, expecting it to bleed over into the 9 o'clock window. So you will not hear me complain over the next 3 hours, Swain, about how awful the 9 o'clock scheduled tip-off time is. Not going to do it.
Glad, man. I'm glad. I'm glad that you are abiding by the show rules.
We've got a policy. We're going to stick to it.
Yeah, the policy that you, in fact, helped put together. I'm glad that you are willing not to break those. So,
this is hey, take care of business week for Tennessee basketball. Balls are 7.5. I think I saw 8.5 earlier today, but in that range. Point favorite on the road, which does not guarantee victory. You mess around on the road in the SEC, you can find out what can happen. But this is a game where Tennessee is clearly the better team. Mississippi State is one of the bottom teams of the SEC. So go handle your business on the road tonight, 9 o'clock in Starkville.
You have a player, Nate Ament, that's playing out of his mind right now. That's in a zone. So I expect for that to continue tonight at the Hump. I expect Jacoby Gillespie to come back with a better performance than he had in the second half of the Kentucky game. He's very important to the success of this basketball team. So I expect him to come out and play very, very well in this game. Also, Jalen Carey, I think, has been challenged. I mean, no field goal attempts in the last game. Someone that I thought was going to come out and wreck Kentucky, considering how the end of the first Kentucky game went down. And that was not the case. 4 for 13 for J.P. Estrella. I expect him to come out and play better as well. So I expect this basketball team to go out and handle business. I really do.
This is kind of like tune-up mode in the middle of SEC play. You want to kind of look at where you've been over the last few weeks. A little more than halfway home. Mississippi State tonight on the road. 2 home games against LSU and Oklahoma to follow. And then you have another run of tougher opponents. Vanderbilt on the road, Missouri on the road. Alabama is going to be a big home game. South Carolina stinks, but it's away. And then Vanderbilt at home to close out. So these next 3 games, play well, take care of business. You need to win all 3 and get yourself ready for a huge run to the postseason.
Don't tell Jeff Goodman this, but Tennessee's opponents, the next 3, not that good, Josh. Not that good. Not that good at all. Mississippi State, they've had a rough year. LSU, I mean, poor guy. He's from Tennessee, but boy, he's gonna catch some hands from Tennessee here in a couple days. And then Oklahoma, they're just not good. And so you got 3 games that should be tune-up games for you before you play a Vanderbilt team that is one of the best teams in the SEC. They have not played the schedule that you have played. They have not played the non-conference schedule that you have played, but they have some very respectable wins. They were able to beat Kentucky. They've been able to beat teams by double digits in this league, and they're capable of beating you. So here's an opportunity for Tennessee. They had a nice 4-game winning streak. Let's put together a winning streak for the rest of the season. Tennessee right now is picked to win every game except for the Vanderbilt game on the 21st by Ken Palm. So that doesn't mean you can't win them all, but the schedule, I think, is favorable. You look at Bediako not playing. He was a force against Tennessee in the first matchup that Tennessee was still able to win. You play Alabama again this season. You're going to play Vanderbilt twice this season as well. So the opportunity is out there for Tennessee to run the table.
So get yourself a nice little 3-game winning streak to start things out against some tougher competition in SEC play. 9 o'clock Eastern time tonight, Tennessee against Mississippi State. I've missed you over the last few days. I haven't had a chance to talk to you about the Bediako decision. It was quite a second era in SEC play.
Yeah, common sense won out. That's what Charlie Baker said, president of the NCAA, and that's the first win in a long time for the NCAA, and I'm glad they got it because right is right and wrong is wrong, and he needed to not be playing. It has become comical though. Nate Oates, he's the person who is caught on camera doing something he's not supposed to be doing, and he's still explaining why he's innocent. He's still trying to plead his case, talking about foreign players coming over here who were pro players to go to school for the first time and play athletics in college. He's still on that, man, and he sounds crazy as he continues to talk about this and defend. He's air quotes defending his player. Bro, you're the one that put him in harm's way. You didn't have to defend him if you didn't put him in harm's way, if you didn't put him in the situation. So for me, Nate Oates has been entertainment. How he continues to make his case of why Bediako should be playing and how he's gonna stand by his player and have his back. I think it's hilarious. But yeah, it was the right call.
Oates has done a great job of elevating himself in the conversation of most disliked coaches in college basketball because I think he might
be number one right now.
He might be. I don't think he had the highest favorability rating among non-Alabama fans. I think in the SEC, I know among Tennessee fans, he ranked very high among most disliked coaches. I think he solidified himself in that upper echelon for most college basketball fans here over the last few weeks.
Well, you think about the Hurley brothers. I mean, no one likes them. I like them, but no one likes the Hurley brothers. Dan Hurley and Bobby Hurley. Bobby's at Arizona State. Dan Hurley's at UConn. I like them, but no one likes them. Calipari, he can be likable, but I know for college basketball fans, they may not like him. I can't, outside of those three, I can't name one that just universally people just don't like. I guess whoever coaches Duke, but I mean,
yeah,
Duke,
that's more the position than the person.
Yeah, like Duke's a good coach, even though I'm still trying to find out who actually got hit from the Duke staff, like he claimed in the North Carolina game. But like Nate Oates, absolutely, I think is the most disliked college basketball coach in the country. I don't think it's close right now.
Right now, you're probably right. If this were WWE style and we were talking about who holds the belt, I think he's the current champ. Yeah, I think he's got the belt around his shoulder down there in Alabama.
Yeah, he is. And so all eyes will be on Alabama. Honestly, should it affect their seeding in the NCAA tournament? It doesn't really matter. They're just not all that great anyways. They're 16-7. I understand that they got a record that rivals us, but they're not a huge threat, honestly. So it doesn't matter to me whether they get a 6th seed or 7th seed or a 5th seed. At the end of the day, man, the ball don't lie. Ball don't lie. It's going to take care of itself.
Let's see. Taylor says the only thing I think that comes remotely close to making amends for this preposterous stunt orchestrated by Nate Oates is for Alabama to completely dissolve their men's basketball program for 5 years. Only seems fair. So Taylor, not an Alabama fan, as you can tell,
No,
right here
man.
in Knoxville.
No, I don't want their basketball program to go away. Who else we gonna beat during the SEC play?
You like beating up on the Tide.
Yeah, man. I don't want their basketball program to go away.
Yeah, the schedule to be in Knoxville here in a couple weeks. So come on up to Knoxville and take your whooping, says Swain. And then Jim, fair point here in the text box, says, for all that's good and righteous, please, please, please stop calling the upcoming games tune-up games. Have you ever watched any Tennessee sports teams? LOL.
They should be tune-up games. They should be. They should be.
Right. Tennessee needs to make that be the case starting tonight in Starkville. We'll continue the conversation, 865-656-9900. We appreciate the interaction to start things out here in segment number 1. We'll be with you until 3 o'clock today, 865-656-9900. If you would like to join us, we are presented by Junk Beyond on Josh and Swain. This is Josh and Swain. Thank you for being with us alongside VFL and former Tennessee wide receiver Jason Swain. I'm Josh Ward, 865-656-9900. Bill Self got a vote for most disliked coach in college basketball.
Really? I like Bill Self, man.
I know there are people that don't like him. He's also in a position, he's at Kansas. Kansas is a blue blood. If you're not a Kansas fan, you're probably going to dislike Kansas or just a program at that level in a lot of cases. So I'm not surprised. He would be in the others receiving votes, I think, if we put this up to some polling outside of a top 3 or 4. Probably a bit. I think Bill Self and Rick Barnes have a good relationship.
You know, I'm not a big fan of disliking someone just because they're successful. I think
Yeah,
that's just,
I'm with you.
Yeah, I think that's just hating. But disliking someone because of something they said or what they have done, I think that's a valid reason. Now, if you want to get on Bill Self for cheating, I guess, hey, I guess you can dislike a lot of coaches in college basketball. That whole thing that happened with Zion and, you know, the Midnight Madness event where he had a lot of questionable people participating during that event. I get it, but for the most part, man, I like Bill Self. I think he is honest when he's talking to the media. When he coaches really good players hard. I think the thing that's going on with, you know, Peterson right now is kind of weird, but
yeah,
I like him.
Yeah, I like him too. The coaches who have been around for a long time, won a lot of games, coaching a lot of big games, I appreciate their presence in the sport as well. Rick Pitino, Tom Izzo, Rick Barnes. Not saying they all have the same personality and pull for or against whoever you want to, obviously. But yeah, I've got no issues with Bill Self.
No issues.
But again, I'm not surprised he's on the list. The obvious one outside of Nate Oates, and that's where this conversation came from, he's right up there among the most disliked coaches by non-Alabama fans. Danny Hurley's an obvious choice. I don't know that I like him. I'm entertained by him, and I'm kind of fascinated by the way that his brain works. There was a 60 Minutes feature on him last year, I think it was, early in the season, and you kind of got a sense of why he is the way that he is, and I would recommend he makes some personality changes because I think he creates some of his own challenges, but part of that is what also makes him great. And so you get both sides. You get what makes him great, which can also create problems for him or create reasons for people to dislike him. So it's difficult to get one without the other.
Yeah. I mean, he's comfortable in his own skin. He understands his weaknesses. I think he allows himself to be vulnerable, especially in that documentary. You know, he talks about what, you know, drove him to be, you know, a maniac when it comes to winning, trying to live for his father's approval because Bobby was so good and he wasn't good enough. His dad was a you know, famous basketball coach in the Jersey area, so I appreciate that about him. But I know, yeah, he can rub a lot of people the wrong way.
Yeah,
man.
I get it. Yeah, when he was at Seton Hall, and I don't remember exact wording, but they're doing the chants at the arenas of "You're not Bobby" or "Bobby's better," something like that.
Yeah, man, that cut deep right there, man.
Sure.
Like, some of these chants these students, you know, may have, you know, they're funny and they don't cut deep. They don't bother you. Sometimes it really motivates the player and it backfires against the student section. But some of the chants, oh man, dude, they're brutal. How does it not affect a player that's trying to focus and concentrate?
We have a text for Stephen Pearl and 3 texts that came in almost all at the same time for Will Wade. Will Wade.
Yeah.
Forget about Will Wade.
Yeah, Will Wade's up there.
Yeah, my guess is Stephen Pearl is more specific to just a few schools. Like we know about the Tennessee connection, but I'm guessing most fans are probably indifferent towards Stephen Pearl.
Most.
I wouldn't think Arizona basketball fans or Michigan State fans or North Carolina fans have much of an opinion on Stephen Pearl.
I agree. Yeah.
Bruce, sure, they're going to have an opinion on Bruce. Stephen, probably not as much.
Yeah, not as much. I agree with you. But yeah, good catch there with mentioning Will Wade and Stephen.
Yeah, Will Wade, he's gonna get plenty of votes. I don't have any doubt about that one. Yeah, he is one of the coaches where if he's your guy, you're gonna go to bat for him. You're gonna love how he gets his team ready to go. But if you're going up against him, you're not gonna like him.
Yeah, we may see him sooner than later, man. I mean, I can. I'm not calling it. I'm not reporting it. I'm just saying, like, I see a path for him to be back at LSU.
Man, what a story that would be. Back in the SEC, even I could see that. He's at a spot where he can win, but LSU, it's not going great. We know that he can win there, and now he doesn't have to worry about who's making those offers.
Nope. And they'll be big just the way he likes them.
That's right. Hey, Apval tagged us on this. I had not seen the news. This is from the last couple of days, but there is a football player who was granted a 9th year of eligibility.
I don't believe it.
He's a linebacker in Montana.
I don't believe it.
Solomon Tuliaupupu, who used to play at USC.
Nah.
He has missed at least 4 full seasons, I believe, due to injury in 18 and 19. He had surgery and then I think complications requiring additional surgery on his foot. So he missed the 18 and 19 seasons due to a foot injury. Then in camp in 2020, which is a season I guess didn't count anyway, but he had another injury in camp that sidelined him for the season. Didn't play in 21, played in 2022, missed the 2023 season after suffering an injury during training camp, and then has played the last 2 seasons at, let's see, USC and then Montana. So this will be his 9th season in college. Most of his time at USC, the last 2 seasons, last year and this year at Montana.
Josh, playing football is difficult. Playing any sport is difficult, especially when you get hurt.
Yeah.
And it's harder to play when you're hurt because there's a level of mental toughness that you got to have to be able to tell yourself that you're not hurt, that you're 100%, that you're normal, that you can compete and get the job done, even though your body's saying you can't. And those that are able to perform while injured, I mean, these are the type of athletes that go down in history, and some of the performances stand out, like Michael Jordan, Terrell Owens had a broken leg in the Super Bowl when the Eagles played against the Patriots. I mean, it's just remarkable. So I don't want to come across as insensitive here. I played hurt. I did it because of the love of my team and program, and I put the team before myself, and that's why I didn't sit out any games. But this is ridiculous, Josh. 9 years.
9 years, yeah.
Solomon, just get a headset, bro. Be a coach. This is why a lot of players become coaches. They get hurt. They have love for the game. You can still be involved. You can still have that love of the game. You can still be influential. You just don't need to play anymore. You are old. It's time. 9 years, 9th year of eligibility. Bro, what if he gets hurt again? We going to give him a 10th year? Just get a headset. Get a headset. Be a coach. We heard a great interview from Coach Poindexter, Tennessee safety coach. His time ran out.
Yep.
He got as much as he could from the game. He was All-American in Virginia. He won a Super Bowl with the Ravens. It was time to hang him up, and he became a coach. And look where he is now. It's time for Solomon to do the same thing. It's time for him to be a coach. It's time, Josh. Goodness gracious. 9th. Josh, imagine freshmen this year, how old they were when he was a freshman.
So he was a freshman at USC in 2018. So incoming freshman, do I have my math here correct? Incoming freshman for this fall would have been in the 5th grade when Solomon, a 9th year senior at Montana, began his college career.
So imagine.
I don't think I would have granted the 9th year, but that has happened.
Imagine like a 5th grader going to USC autograph signing, and they see this young man, Solomon, and he signs it, his football, and takes a picture with him. That same young man can grow up, get a scholarship, and be at Montana his freshman season, and they can be teammates.
That's right.
Oh my gosh. This is like LeBron James playing against Jason Tatum. And Jason Tatum went to his camp when he was a little kid. Or
Yeah.
how about the photo of DeAndre Ayton, a young kid going to
Yeah.
LeBron James's basketball camp? Like
Yeah,
this.
there's the video clip of Jabari Smith Jr., who was now, what is he, in his fourth season in the league? But when he was a rookie, there was a delay. They're mic'd up, and Jabari Smith tells LeBron, you played against my dad, Jabari Smith, in the mid 2000s.
Oh man,
So that's where we are. So, ninth year senior at Montana. At this point, it's already been granted. I'm kind of pulling for the 10th year. I've made it clear where I stand on these eligibility conversations, but we got close with Cam McCormick at Miami. He made it to a ninth year, couldn't quite get that 10th. I don't necessarily want Solomon to get injured. I guess that's the only route, but I'm kind of pulling for that 10th year of eligibility. We'll continue the conversation, 865-656-9900 to be part of the show. I think we have 10 segments to go, so we have plenty of time for you to join us. We'll talk some football, some basketball, a quarterback commitment for Tennessee. We have a lot to cover and invite you to join us along the way. 865-656-9900. Thank you for being with us on Josh and Swain. This is Josh and Swain. Thank you for being with us. A quarterback commitment for the University of Tennessee to tell you about in a moment. A few messages from the text box as we open that up. 865-656-9900. Also, Braden Gall talking some SEC and college football coming up at 1 o'clock. This text says, Swain, why are you hating on my papaw playing linebacker at Montana? Melissa in the text box says, yeah, get a headset, be a coach, as he is entering his 9th season, granted by the NCAA at Montana, formerly played at USC. Kevin said, I have a colonoscopy tomorrow, but after that, I have 4 years of eligibility. And then this was pointed out, Swain, as we talked about Solomon T getting the 9th year of eligibility when he was a freshman in college at USC. Current freshman in college would have been in the 5th grade. So that means when Joey Aguilar entered college, his freshman year, incoming freshman for the 2026 season still would have been in the 6th grade, for perspective.
Oh.
So there is only 1 year difference there in the two. But
it's different.
It's 9 is more than it is different.
It's different.
It is different.
But he's too old, Josh.
Right, he's
Solomon
older.
T, he keeps getting hurt. He's too old. This is about his health. If he's getting hurt as a youngster, he's going to get hurt as a fossil.
Well, I'll continue to cite the Tommy Boy quote. Lots of people go to college for 7 years. Yeah, they're called doctors.
Yeah. I mean,
now we're talking about year 8 and 9. So we're into residency.
Just get a headset, man.
Tennessee has a new commitment, Swain. Earlier today, for the 2027 class, quarterback Derek Baker committed to Tennessee. He goes to Milton High School in Alpharetta, well-known school. Tennessee's recruited there in the past. So a quarterback commitment. Derek Baker missed a lot of this past season due to injury, but is an intriguing prospect who I think if he has a good rest of 2026, meaning whatever he'll do during the spring and summer and then his senior season, we'll see him rise in the rankings. I think a number of schools were interested in him. His injury was a factor in how he was viewed, but a quarterback commit for 2027. Now, I will also add in, this is a high school quarterback commit, so any potential impact on the field for Tennessee, if it happens, is years down the line. But Tennessee has its quarterback commitment for the 2027 class.
I like it. I mean, these are the type of commitments I like. Ones that you're out in front of. I mean, it's easy to get a quarterback to like you after you put the full court press on him and promise him everything after he has already had his coming out party. He's rated as a 5-star. But these are the type of commitments I like where you don't care about the stars. You see intangibles, which, we'll talk about here in a second, but you watch the film, you watch him in person, and what you see, according to your evaluation, says that he could be a player for you. And you pull the trigger on offering him and allowing him to commit. And I'm sure he's going to blow up, and he may want more because why not? If you're a quarterback and you're good, it's the most valuable position in sports. You have a ton of leverage, so why not capitalize on that? But I do love these type of commitments, especially from the quarterback position. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. The one position that no one should question when it comes to Josh Heupel is quarterback. He hasn't been perfect, but it hasn't been because he's missed out on quarterbacks that don't have the talent. And so I look forward to following him. Obviously, he's going to play in an area where there's a ton of competition, and I like his work ethic, and I like what they're saying about him already.
You also essentially have that position taken care of, right, in this class, so you can focus elsewhere, and you have a quarterback to sell to recruits in this 2027 class.
Yes. And again, will reiterate, he's from one of the best recruiting areas in the United States. So not only is he committed early, but now he can help you recruit other players and build on the 2027 class.
So Derek Baker, 2027 quarterback, commits to Tennessee earlier today as Tennessee continues to wait to see what will happen with its 2026 quarterback position. But Faison Brandon from the 26th class, of course, on campus, getting ready to compete this spring. And we'll see what the position looks like this fall. But Derek Baker, talented quarterback, wrist injury that he dealt with that cost him most of this past season. But a guy that, if you look at his recruiting ranking today, my guess is that it's higher at the end of this recruiting cycle when they do final rankings coming up in 10 or 11 months.
What did the experts say about him?
So I do have some notes from Chad Simmons on three. He's their director of recruiting with On Three and Rivals. Shared this with the VolQuest audience as they're part of that network. He said, I have seen a lot of him at practice events, and I was at the game where Derek Baker got hurt last season. He's a baller. I like his game a lot. He has a live arm, great mobility, and is very smart. One of my favorite traits about him is his work ethic. He's always looking to get better. He's on a strict schedule when it comes to workouts, training, physical therapy, et cetera. He is driven to be great, and also noted that some other schools were slow playing him because they wanted to see him in the spring after he dealt with the injury. So this could be a guy that, again, his ranking could go up, but also other schools' interests could go up, and Tennessee gets out in front of that. So those are some thoughts from Chad Simmons at Rivals on Tennessee's newest quarterback commit, Derek Baker.
Yeah, being first and being, the first school that truly believed in you, that stuff matters, man. It goes a long way. Not every player is loyal. Not every school is loyal, but loyalty still matters.
Yep. So Derek Baker commits to Tennessee at the quarterback position for the 2027 class. 865-656-9900 if you would like to join us. Another segment coming up to close out hour number one. Braden Gall will begin hour number two with us, and we'll be with you until 3 o'clock this afternoon. We're with you on 99.1 The Sports Animal and AM 640 The Sports Monster, and however you're tuning in, streaming live on YouTube or listening to us on demand. Thanks for hanging out with us today as we continue the show on Josh and Swain. This is Josh and Swain. Thanks for being with us. We are presented by Junk Beyond, East Tennessee's junk removal specialist. Find them online at junkbeyond.biz. James noting in the text box, when you go to church from 7 to 8, the 8 o'clock start time is perfect. James is in Lebanon and notes that Central Time has its advantages. I'm on record. I think Central Time, Swain, is the GOAT time zone.
Yeah. I can't disagree with you. I was raised in the Central Time zone. Had to adjust when I made the trip to Knoxville, but I ain't complaining, man. That's one thing we don't do in the program.
We don't do it.
We don't complain, and we're not doing it here. I'm just
9 o'clock Eastern start time, but we're not complaining about that on the show. Not today, not any day.
No, I'm just glad that we get a chance to watch Tennessee compete and try to bounce back from the game against Kentucky, and watching Nate Ament grow and come into his own has been a treat. That's been something I've been looking forward to all offseason. The moment that he committed and signed, whenever there was a topic that was uncomfortable to discuss, it was good to remind myself that Tennessee signed Nate Ament.
Nate Ament, baby.
Nate Ament, baby. So
here's your SEC slate tonight, Swain. It's 7 o'clock on ESPN2. Florida's playing at Georgia.
Yep.
And Alabama's playing at Ole Miss. And then in the 9 o'clock window, Tennessee against Mississippi State. That one's on ESPN2, so it will follow the Florida-Georgia game. And then also at 9 o'clock, Texas A&M at home against Missouri.
Love it. I love it. I'm just glad Tennessee is on primetime TV. I get to watch Nate Ament. I like watching Jacoby Gillespie. I know he's going to have a bounce-back first half and second half bounce-back game. I'm not too discouraged about the loss to Kentucky. Am I happy about it? No. But again, this is a tournament sport, and it has not been written in stone about this Tennessee basketball team in this season.
Yeah, that one, it affects Tennessee's tournament resume. The frustration probably comes more from that's a rival, going 0-2 against them, blowing 2 double-digit leads in those 2 games creates a lot of frustration because you want to beat Kentucky. You want to beat the Wildcats. You want to win in Rupp. Obviously, you want to beat them in either spot, but to win at Rupp is a big deal. Tennessee blew that opportunity.
Yeah, 100%. It was a blown opportunity.
Yeah,
it was very frustrating. I was not happy after the game, but I'm okay. This team can do some great things as long as number 10 continues to play the way he's playing and everyone is healthy. You have learned a lot of lessons during the course of this season, played a lot of really good teams. So it's about playing the right way at the right time, and the matchups matter just as much as the quality of play that you're playing at currently, or at that time. So if we play in a region where we're playing against teams that have a hard time rebounding, we're going to clean up. So I'm waiting before I have a judgment on the entire season. Like we said this yesterday when we were at Frazier's. Joel and K. Simon did a great job. Football is different. You lose your 4th game in November, you know you're not going to a good bowl game. You know the fate of your season. There's no chance to be a Final Four or Elite 8 participant. It's a wrap. Basketball's different. We don't know that yet.
So Tennessee at Mississippi State in men's basketball tonight. The Lady Vols will look to bounce back tomorrow. They need to. They should against a Missouri team that's not all that good. Also have the news that Rakia Jackson will not play in the 2026 Unrivaled one-on-one tournament. That news is probably not surprising considering the news of the weekend with James Pierce Jr., but that note with a former Lady Vol, Rakia Jackson, during the basketball discussion.
Yeah, man. James messing up her money, man, with his immature shenanigans and anger issues. Just embarrassing, man. Just embarrassing because now she's going to be asked about the incident everywhere she goes probably. And probably not any type of emotional state to be out there competing and wanting to play basketball right now. So it's so sad, man. Golly, so sad.
Yep. It's sad. It's infuriating. It's a bad story on
It is.
from many different angles. Very bad story. As we close out the hour, we'll close out on a lighter note. But he's not joking. Chip in the text box says, "You all might not complain, but I will. I think it's ridiculous these games start at 9 o'clock, knowing good and well that the game won't start until about 9:20. If the Florida and Georgia game don't go into overtime, the game will likely finish at 11:30, 11:45. I've got to get up at 5 the next morning. Put the game on another channel so it can start on time." So Chip doesn't have to follow our policy, and we respect that. So complain he will. And I get it, Chip. I get it.
Well, you can always watch the game in the morning. You could record and watch the second half of the game. Pull old Josh Ward move.
That is often a move that I pull. If a game is going too late, watch whatever I can the night leading up to it, and then watch, able to fast forward through the stoppages. I love a good college basketball review, don't get me wrong, but once we get to the third, fourth, fifth, I'm ready to kind of fast forward. So that is an option if you do have the time in the morning to watch. Stay with us. We have 2 more hours to go, plenty of time to join us, and we'll hear from Braden Gall. We'll talk some football with him to begin hour number 2. Austin Price of VolQuest next hour as well, here on Josh and Swain. And hour number 2 of Josh and Swain. Thank you for being with us. 2 hours to go on today's show, every day presented by Junk Beyond, East Tennessee's junk removal specialist. And we begin the hour going to the Stanley Fencing and Gates hotline. We say hello to Braden Gall of 440 Sports. Braden, we appreciate you taking time to join us. As always, here in Knoxville, we're in the middle of court season as we're waiting to see what happens with Joey Aguilar. Obviously, the rolling with him will have a big impact on Tennessee's season. Will he be Tennessee's starting quarterback or not? But what are you paying attention to right now? What are storylines or topics that interest you as we start to make that transition looking ahead to 2026 in the SEC or in college football?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of really interesting like micro level stuff, like Jared Curtis going to Vanderbilt or Lenore Sellers in terms of his the offensive line development and the hot seat for Beamer and which quarterback are we going to get? Like tons of portal in Texas. There's all kinds of really like fun stuff, but we're so far away from like trying to dissect what's on the field. It's hard for me to I'm excited about it, but it's hard to know exactly what each team is going to be. I don't know how player movement and court cases and eligibility is not sort of like the overwhelming topic that dominates the offseason. Like within that conversation, there are a lot of really interesting like college football strategy questions, like Texas versus Georgia strategically. Sarkisian and Kirby Smart are going about it in very different ways. There's lots of coordinator moves, like all kinds of stuff. I just don't know how it doesn't all trace sort of back to probably one of two things. One, eligibility and rules. And inside of that is also the Big Ten versus the SEC and the future of the playoff and like all these other things. And people, like, I think people, like when I talk to our audience, it's, man, I'm tired of court cases. I want to talk about ball on the field. And I'm like, I don't know how you do that. If you're talking Ole Miss or Tennessee, for example, if you are not talking about court cases. Like Chambliss, of course, they're going to be what they're hearing, I think, tomorrow for Trinidad Chambliss, and don't know which direction that's going to go. It seems like there's a chance he could be eligible, but probably not. And then there's the Aguilar case. Like, I don't know how you can talk about ball without also talking about, quarterback eligibility. Like, I don't know how those two things aren't totally tied together. So I think eligibility, once again, unfortunately, in court cases and, basketball players. And I think the one to watch on all of this, guys, is baseball. I think baseball, it's so important in the SEC. There are so many resources for baseball players, and how many guys either highly recruited who were committed to a school and then decided to leave and go because they were drafted in the second round and they haven't even sniffed the major league roster. They're just playing in single or double A ball, and like they're 3 years out and they don't have a path to the majors, at least maybe based on what they've accomplished so far. And you don't think that guy could come back to like LSU or Tennessee or Mississippi State and like totally rake or be a flamethrower in the SEC? Like, I'm fascinated to see what happens with this eligibility stuff. And I think baseball, I think, is the next one up. It's going to be really interesting to track.
Burton, you had a conversation last week with Trey Wallace about the easiest path for a new SEC football coach. When y'all had that conversation, who was a new coach that you pointed to as probably having an easy path to success?
Well, it's all relative, right? Like Kentucky's expectation of success is different than LSU's. Arkansas should be different than Florida. Auburn, like, for my money, Auburn's looks extremely difficult.
Yep.
Ole Miss looks extremely difficult. So to me, I'm looking at Golish and I'm looking at Pete Golding, and I'm going, like, I'm sort of lowering my expectations. I think Will Stein has some winnable games on his schedule based on expectations that if they just are like consistent on offense for the first time in like 5 or 6 years since Liam Cohen was the coordinator and Will Levis was the quarterback, they could be a 6 or 7 win team. And again, like, that's not a dramatic, unbelievable season, but that is that's a major step in the right direction. And I think the schedule sets up for Will Stein to do pretty well. I look at, I don't have the schedules in front of me, but Auburn's is very difficult, in particular their road schedule. Ole Miss has a difficult schedule. I think Florida's got a tricky schedule, but I think they also have a bunch of winnable games if things fall right for them. Honestly, Lane Kiffin and LSU, if things are working, they are going to be dangerous right away. Now, are they like playoff dangerous, or are they 8-4, 9-3 dangerous? I don't know yet. Part of the beauty of like some of the beauty, in my opinion, of the parity that we have now is when you look at the SEC, like again, just in the middle of February, you could be like, all right, Georgia and Texas look like the best teams on paper. They look like teams that should be in the playoff and contending for national championships. Okay, let's put them aside. And I think we talked about this last week. If you look at the middle class, your guess is as good as mine as to who will be the best of the middle class. Mm-hmm. Texas A&M, Ole Miss, LSU, Tennessee, Alabama. Does anybody jump into that group? Is it Missouri? Is it Florida? Is it South Carolina? Like Oklahoma's in that group. There's so many different teams that could jump into that group. And again, going back to the eligibility, two of those teams I'm probably not putting in there if they don't have Chambliss or Aguilar. So like eligibility, once again, huge deal.
You mentioned South Carolina. We know Lenore Sellers is back. What do you think about Sellers, Beamer, South Carolina in 2026?
Look, I think they're one of the most interesting stories. And Sellers has extraordinary talent. They have not invested properly around him until now. They're trying to do that with the offensive line. Shane Beamer's hires for the offensive coordinator have been, I would say, bizarre at best. So we'll see what happens on the coaching staff. He is under a lot of pressure to win right away, but they also have like maybe the best defensive end and maybe the most talented quarterback in not only just the SEC, but in the country. So it's super, super interesting to see what South Carolina could do. Shane Beamer has a fascinating relationship with his fans, and the people inside the building love him one week and then they hate him the next week. So I just think it's volatile and interesting what's going on at South Carolina.
Do you have a bounce back quarterback in the SEC that has your attention the most? I know Lenore Sellers was supposed to be, the guy. He's back in the SEC. DJ Lagway is not in the SEC anymore, but there was a lot of hype preseason last year heading into this season. Is there a guy that you have circled as someone to look for to have a bounce back year at quarterback?
Well, that could be Sellers, correct? That's the biggest name. Arch, if you count Arch Manning as a guy who, disappointed last year, I think that's certainly acceptable to put his name on the list. I'd be interested, like Sam Levitt. If you want to talk about him at LSU, I think he could be a guy because of the stress of Arizona State last year and how they didn't live up to expectations. I think there's a chance you could talk to him. Austin Simmons is really interesting. A guy who started the season, of course, had tons of talent, gave up his baseball career, and then goes to Missouri, and we'll see what happens there. But I don't know how it's not Sellers. Not to go back to my previous answer, but yeah. I don't know how Sellers, from a talent perspective, to go from projected top 3, top 5 pick in all of college football, one of the most physically gifted human beings to ever play the position, and then to end up, not only coming back, that's not a big deal, but to have the season go the way it was, preseason playoff expectations. Now there's pressure on the coach. I don't know how it's not Lenore Sellers, to be honest.
Braden Gall, 440 Sports. What is happening there at 440 for people to check out right now?
Well, we did all those off-season storylines today on the show. You can check that out. Had a fill-in guest, so make sure you check out SEC Football Live on the 440 Sports YouTube page. We are draft season now for Titans fans. So we are deep into the draft. We've got a football show on Mondays and Thursdays with Paul Kaharski and Nick Suss. We've got Hot Read podcast. We've got the Paul Kaharski podcast. We've got all kinds of shows covering the Tennessee Titans, SEC football. We've got Predator stuff with the Gold Standard. We've got Nashville SC starting up in 2 weekends. All kinds of great stuff happening in the state of Tennessee, and hopefully 440 has you covered. So that's 440 Sports, social media, podcast apps, YouTube. Please give us a shot. We appreciate it.
Go check them out and support 440 Sports. Hey, Braden, we appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Braden. Braden Gall joins us on the Stanley Fencing and Gates hotline. So some football to start out the hour. Football as we continue. Austin Price of AllQuest to join us. Thanks to Colossal Productions as we continue today's show, presented by Junk Begun on Josh and Swain. custom furniture. Amish Elegance is located in Farragut at 613 North Campbell Station Road, right off the interstate. You can stop in and see so many great options for any part of your home, any part of your office that you are looking to either fill out, or if you're looking to upgrade, make some changes, make some improvements. Amish Elegance can help. Everything that comes from Amish Elegance is bench made. The furniture is handcrafted, unique to fit what you are looking for. They also have great Valentine's Day gift ideas. If you stop in at the store, you can find something in the store to help enhance any part of your home. The team at Amish Elegance, they're family owned, can help you pick out what you need for a piece of furniture. They can help you design what you need. The difference is in the quality of the furniture. It's built to last. It's built to last for generations. They'll help you design. They hand those plans over to the Amish families they work with to build beautiful furniture designed for you. 613 North Campbell Station Road. Stop by and see Amish Elegance in person. Tell them the Sports Animal sent you. Start online at AmishElegance.com. This is Josh and Swain. Thank you for being with us. Alongside Jason Swain, who's a VFL and former Tennessee wide receiver, I'm Josh Ward, scheduled to be joined by Austin Price of VolQuest. We'll connect with him in a moment. We'll talk about Tennessee's recruiting. We'll talk about Tennessee's new quarterback commitment. Every week we talk to Austin thanks to Colossal Productions. You can see their large mobile LED screens at their website, colossalproductions.com. Get a sense for what they can do for your event. You're planning a big party, a big corporate event. Colossalproductions.com. Great team, locally based, that can help you with your special event. Their website, colossalproductions.com. They can make your next event stand out. We say hello to Austin Price of allquest.com. Austin, thanks for the time as always. What can you tell us about Tennessee's new quarterback commit, Derek Baker, who committed to Tennessee for the 2027 class earlier today?
Tennessee really fell in love with him at camp last summer. Josh, really impressive performance. I was there. He threw it really, really well. He's a big, thick kid, a little over 6 foot tall. Probably could grow another inch, but I mean, you can't teach. If you could take a couple inches from George and give it to Baker, or take a couple of pounds from Baker and give it to George, it'd be perfect. He's thick though and can run. The biggest thing is just staying healthy for him. Has all the tools, and again, originally from the state of Florida, and moved up to Atlanta a couple of years ago, playing at Milton, played for Cam Newton's 7-on-7 team, and again, one that Tennessee really targeted hard the last, I would say, 3 or 4 months, but really started to pick up the pace and put on the pressure probably the last 35, 40 days.
Yeah, how important was it, do you think, to Tennessee staff to, if you would describe it this way, get out in front of some other schools who could potentially push harder for Derek later in the spring?
I think they knew that they needed to get this done now and not wait. And, again, he really, really likes Tennessee a good amount. He talked about how much, he loves the color orange. He's like, man, that was the first, because I didn't really know a ton about Tennessee before I went up there for that camp. But he goes, I knew I loved their colors. Orange has been my favorite color my whole life. And, he goes, I love the passion, just going through there for other, things the last handful of years, going through the state and just seeing people wearing the Tennessee T-shirts and that type of stuff. He goes, you can just tell their fan base is really, really strong. And again, he really liked what Tennessee has to offer, and Tennessee was, pretty adamant about trying to get this one done sooner rather than later, and they were able to do so today.
Austin Price, with the 6 Tennessee players invited to the NFL Combine, AP, anything you take away from that?
No, I mean, I think, again, this team had, talent on it this past year, and, they'd obviously come up short in a few games, and that obviously wasn't ideal, Jason. But, you look at, what they had in the secondary. Jermod obviously didn't play, but, super talented. Colton Hood, did play, transferred in 1 year and had a huge impact, and obviously played well down at Senior Bowl during practice and such. Chris Brazel had a fantastic year. Nobody knew what to expect from him. Missed a lot of fall camp early on after he had that surgery in July, and then all he did was just, go over 1,000 yards, catch 62 passes. I mean, he was big in big games. Josh Joseph's, a kid that I think in the NFL can still see his best football ahead of him. Kitzelman, I thought, not surprised going into the year. He did not have as strong a year as I thought he would have, part of that due to injury. So it's good to see him get a chance to go to not Senior Bowl, but get a chance to go to the Combine and perform, and we'll see how he does. And then Bryson Eason, Rodney Garner has long thought that Bryson Eason has the most upside of anybody in that room. It's just about getting it out of him. And, again, the kid was a linebacker in high school, turned defensive tackle in college, and has some traits as far as quick twitch stuff that coaches are looking for.
Austin, news here in the last couple of days with Michael Hunter, the coach who had been hired to lead the cornerbacks. He comes from Ohio State, is off to the NFL. Where does that leave Josh Heupel and Jim Knowles looking to replace Michael Hunter at the cornerbacks position?
Well, I think they're, I won't say scrambling, but I mean, it's it's something where, I think Tennessee was working towards that today. Hunter got offered the job Monday night around 9:00. I think told Hype that night, and the rest of the guys, the next morning. which was yesterday, and then I think Tennessee wanted to let it marinate and stuff. I think they've had several top coaches reach out to them with interest on the job, and we'll see where things go from there. And remember, with the way it's set up now, you can have as many coaches as you want. You just only can have a certain number designated to recruit. This position is designated to recruit because Jim Knowles will never go on the road. He'll just recruit from campus. And so, does Jim Knowles want an older guy? Does he want a younger guy? Where's Anthony Poindexter play in this search? I would think that he would be involved, because he is the leader of the secondary. And, I think Michael Hunter was going to be a nice addition under him. So I think it'll be interesting to kind of see where they go. How much do they lean on Anthony Poindexter for this hire? Is it somebody that Poindexter knows versus Jim Knowles? The one thing that you do lose is Hunter knew the defense. And the chances of getting somebody else that knew the defense probably diminish. And so we'll see where things go from there.
Spring practice starting, a little bit later, but starting in March. Do you feel like this thing is going to be done within a week, or think it's going to be pushed out a little bit longer? Do you feel like these guys have enough time to make it happen? I know they want to get the right hire, but what's your timeline?
I mean, my timeline would be by the time we talk next week, I'd be shocked if they don't have a coach hired.
Yeah.
I mean, you're hiring one coach. There's only going to be a limited number of people that have interest, that you would have interest in them. And again, what's Tennessee willing to pay for this position? What they were willing to pay Hunter, obviously they were paying Willie Martinez for another year, but now Hunter's stuff gets repaid by the Rams. So, you didn't have to pay Hunter. The Rams are going to have to pay the buyout for Hunter. So basically you're getting that position or that amount of money basically for free, right? Like it's kind of like, when Brian Jean Marie went to Georgia Tech for a week, Notre Dame had to pay the full year buyout for 1 week at Georgia Tech. Same thing here, in my opinion. So that should help, a little bit in terms of the financial side of things, is trying to go find a replacement for Michael Hunter.
Austin, anything to add on the Joey Aguilar case other than waiting to see what happens next with the hearing coming up in a couple of days?
No, just waiting to see, right? I mean, there's not a whole lot of news going on right now. I mean, obviously people are trying to, say like, well, what happened with Bediako? It's like two different situations. I mean, Joey never went and played professionally anywhere and tried to come back. And, I think what Chambliss and Aguilar are trying to do are similar, but in some ways different. And, both of them obviously will have the favor of the in-state judge. And again, how hard does the NCAA fight it? How long do they try to fight it? What goes on with that? And I mean, both sides are just trying to kick the can down the road as far as they can. Once if they're lucky enough to get the favorable ruling, they want to just try to kick the can down the road until next season's over.
Austin, what else on the recruiting front? What are you paying attention to, or will you be paying attention to with the biggest news of the day, the quarterback commitment from Derek Baker? What's next from a recruiting conversation?
Just getting things back open up in the month of March, getting kids to campus here for spring practice. Obviously, Tennessee would love to have a junior day when things open back up the 1st of March. And since they lost that second junior day in the month of January, and just try to get the best players in state here. Obviously all eyes will continue to be on David Gabriel Georges down at Chattanooga Baylor, but also a guy like Keyshawn Bowman. Same thing with Kenneth Simon, the in-state kids, Jarrell Chandler at Halls, Malik Howard at Oak Ridge. And then out of state, what happens to a kid like Josh Dobson? Dobson obviously knew Tennessee's secondary coach, then got to know Michael Hunter as Hunter and Heupel went and saw him. When things were open back in January, and now all of a sudden Tennessee's got another new corners coach. So does that stunt the recruitment of a guy like Dobson, who is, if not the best, one of the best corners in the country?
VolQuest.com, they are covering it, what's happening with Tennessee football recruiting, and of course basketball season ongoing and baseball season getting ready to start. VolQuest.com. Austin, we miss anything before we let you go?
I don't think so, guys. I don't think so. Just get ramped up for spring ball and, get ready for recruits to open up. And as you said, Mike Wilson and Eric Kane will have you covered on baseball, and Mike and Grant already have you covered on basketball, and, a little bit of everything over at VolQuest.
There is a lot happening. VolQuest.com is the website. He joins us each week thanks to Colossal Productions. Austin, thank you. We appreciate the time, and we will talk to you again soon.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Austin Price joining us. All guests join us on the Stanley Fencing and Gates hotline, and Austin joins us each week thanks to Colossal Productions special events. They can help you by delivering unforgettable experiences with massive mobile LED screens and audio systems to your location. So if you're planning a company event, a special occasion, an unforgettable sporting event, a watch party, a gaming party, check out colossalproductions.com. You can see these massive mobile LED screens that we tell you about. They have video and images on their website so you can see what we're talking about. Go to colossalproductions.com. We will come back. We will talk more about what we just discussed with Austin Price and Braden Gall to begin this hour. As Swain brought up, 6 Vols invited to the NFL Combine. We'll tell you more about them and their opportunities. Another 90 minutes to go, so plenty of opportunities for you to hop on board. 865-656-9900 if you'd like to join us right here on Josh and Swain. This is Josh and Swain. Thank you for being with us halfway home. 90 minutes to go on today's show. Every weekday from 12 to 3 Eastern Time, we are presented by Junk Beyond with Jason Swain here, a VFL and former Tennessee wide receiver. I'm Josh Ward and Swain. Last segment with Austin Price, you brought up the Tennessee Volunteers invited to the NFL Draft Combine. Chris Brazzell at wide receiver, Miles Kitzelman at tight end. You have Bryson Eason along the defensive line, and Joshua Josephs, defensive lineman, edge rusher. And then at cornerback, Colton Hood and Jermod McCoy, who, of course, missed this past season recovering from the torn ACL. So what stood out to you? You saw those 6 players invited to the NFL Draft Combine, which is a big deal. Doesn't guarantee that you're going to get drafted. We all know that. But it's a great chance to showcase yourself in front of the NFL teams.
Yeah, I mean, for Colton Hood, it's going to be a great opportunity for him to talk about what he's learned from different stops and why he was able to have the success that he had in this league. I think for Chris Brazzell, he's going to be asked some very difficult questions about the offense and about how prepared is he for the NFL, and he's going to have to answer to some off the field stuff. But hopefully he's going to be prepared by his agent to answer those questions, and he won't be caught off guard. I think for Jermod McCoy, it should be fairly easy for him. I mean, an ACL injury is not something that's going to scare teams away. Impeccable character from everything that I've heard about from him. Was able to come here and go up against the best receivers in the league when he was healthy, and competed and performed and played well and defended those guys. A guy like Bryson Eason, being able to play under Rodney Garner's leadership the last couple of years, man, I think he's going to be good to go. Gardner's respected at all levels of football. Kitzelman's going to have to answer questions about, his health and, him catching the ball or not catching the ball this season. Certainly, I think he brings a element of leadership that any locker room would want. And so I think all the guys will have questions that they'll have to answer to. But this is where the money is made for a lot of these players. It's made and it's also lost too. So how you perform in those interviews with the GMs and the coaches will be very, very important. Your medical stuff, how that looks out and checks out. Rarely the players come into the combine and could just stand on their film alone. There's a handful of guys, each and every class, that can say, you know what, I don't have to do anything, I don't have to say anything. My film says the work for me. But for the most part, everyone will have to perform well physically, mentally during these evaluations.
Yeah, you mentioned the offense and Chris Brazzell. It's no secret at this point, Tennessee's offense with Josh Heupel has been scrutinized at the next level. Mm-hmm. And that'll be a question Brazzell faces. The wide receivers that have been drafted from Tennessee under Heupel have not found a lot of success at the next level.
Yeah, he's going to have to answer to that. And he's going to have to talk about what makes him different. And, I think the best thing that could happen is to explain how the offense and what he did at Tennessee translates to the next level. I remember my questions like it happened yesterday. I was asked to get on the grease board and draw my favorite play and tell me why it was my favorite play. And the reason why I picked a certain play is because it could win versus multiple coverages. Cover 1, cover 2, there was an answer for each coverage that allowed the quarterback to be able to have a read, based on what he saw. And that's what the NFL, that's what those guys want to know. Are you a student of the game? Do you understand what you're doing? Not just doing it, but do you understand it, and do you have a deep understanding? Can we count on you to be intelligent from a football sense? That allows us to do more in terms of our offense and our flexibility if you do come with that football intelligence. So those concepts, I think, will be very important for Chris Brazzell to be able to explain, because there's already a ton of questions about what Tennessee does now on offense. And it doesn't help that you haven't had a lot of success in the league from Tennessee wide receivers. So I think Tillman is right now the only one that's really doing something from Tennessee.
Yeah, Tillman's done okay. Part of his challenge has been staying healthy at times with the Browns, playing for the Browns, and that offense, which has been up and down, is putting it nicely, has also probably been a challenge for him. But off the top of my head, not looking at the stats directly, but I would say he's been easily the most successful Cedric Tillman in the NFL.
Yeah, no one is questioning whether or not Tillman can play at the next level. I mean, he possesses a certain type of skill set that allows him to be successful.
Yeah.
I think Brazel, can too, but it just really depends on which team wants to use his skill set. The Giants thought that Hyatt's speed could be good enough that hey, they can make it work with him and improve and help him develop. It just hasn't worked out. So there's going to be some teams that are just not interested in Brazel, but there's going to be some teams who say, you know what, we like his style and we can make it easy for him, just like maybe Tennessee's offense can make it easy for quarterbacks and wide receivers. You just need the right team. But what Brazel is going to want to do is give himself the best chance to be selected as high as possible, and that is to impress as many teams as possible. And I think his biggest questions, it won't be his ability to catch the ball in traffic. He's really good at that. Was great at that this past season. It's gonna be the offense. It's gonna be his ability to learn. It's gonna be questions about character, things like that. That's what he's gonna have to answer to.
Yeah, the NFL Draft Combine will take place in Indianapolis, starts February 23rd, will go through March 2nd. So that'll be something to pay attention to toward the end of the month, final week, essentially, of the month of February. Quarterbacks invited to the Combine will include names you expect, like Fernando Mendoza, Ty Simpson, who are the top two projected quarterbacks in the draft right now based on most analyst thoughts. But then you have a bunch of quarterbacks who could probably move up, move down. Carson Beck from Miami, Drew Aller, whose season ended in injury in the middle of the season at Penn State, Luke Altmaier at Illinois, Taylon Green at Arkansas, Haynes King from Georgia Tech, Cade Klubnik at Clemson, and Garrett Nussmeier, who was a big-time prospect this time a year ago. His stock has fallen, and then Diego Pavia. Swain, I'm sure, will get all kinds of attention at the Combine.
Oh, he will, and the eyeballs will be on him. Anything he does well will be highlighted for sure, and anything he does wrong will be highlighted 2 times more than the good stuffs because of how he came across during his time at Vanderbilt, and especially how he behaved during the Heisman Trophy ceremony or right afterwards. So all eyeballs will be on him. I know he measured at the Senior Bowl. I think that measurement won't be anything different at the NFL Combine, and he's going to have to go out there and perform because they want you a little bit taller than Diego Pavia's height. But you can't argue with the film. He just has to go out there and hit throws and interview well.
Excuse me for bringing it up, but one other name I saw on the Combine invite list, Jacoby Thomas, safety from Miami.
But you mentioned Tennessee players on the Combine invite list. That's the topic. I mean, that's the subject, right? Tennessee.
Well, technically, they're all former Tennessee players, right?
Technically, they are all former Tennessee players. You're right.
But
you're not wrong, my friend.
Not necessarily all VFLs that were mentioned. Most, but not all.
I ain't falling for that.
All right, we'll continue the conversation. 865-656-9900. I also apologized before I brought it up, so let the record show that one. We'll come back, 865-656-9900. If you'd like to join us, we're with you until 3 o'clock this afternoon. More Tennessee basketball to talk with the Vols getting ready for a road game, 9 o'clock Eastern tip-off at Mississippi State. We'll keep the football conversation going as well and invite you to be a part of it right here on Josh and Swain. This is Josh and Swain. Thank you for being with us. Alongside Jason Swain, VFL and former Tennessee wide receiver. I'm Josh Ward, 865-656-9900. Tennessee will play basketball tonight on the road against Mississippi State. Here's the SEC schedule for tonight. In the 7 o'clock window, Florida will play at Georgia on ESPN2, and Alabama will play at Ole Miss on the SEC Network. Then at 9 o'clock on ESPN2, Tennessee will play at Mississippi State. I would say that tip-off time is a little bit TBD. Says 9 o'clock, could be a little bit later after Florida and Georgia. And then in the other 9 o'clock game on the SEC Network, Missouri will play at Texas A&M. Bama's 6-4 in the SEC. They're playing against an Ole Miss team that has struggled this season. That's not going to be a tournament team. They're more in spoiler role at this point. But it's Alabama, Swain, playing on the road again without Charles Bediako. They began the season and played most of the season without him. Then they had him for a few weeks while there was the temporary restraining order, waiting on an injunction to be able to finish out the rest of the season, but that was denied a few days ago. So Alabama is back to playing without Bediako, and I think you and I have been similar in our thinking of Alabama's basketball team. I don't think it's a great team. Bediako would have helped. He definitely helped them with his presence, but I didn't agree with Seth Greenberg saying they're a national title contender, and now it doesn't really matter about that opinion because he's not out there anymore, and we know Nate Oates doesn't believe in his front court because he brought Bediako in for a reason. Now Bama's without Bediako again.
Yeah, it's crazy. Someone that coached in the ACC and as an analyst would think that Alabama was a national title contender with Bediako when really they're a middle of the road SEC team. I just can't see what Seth Greenberg sees, but hey, I mean, he's forgotten more about basketball than both of us combined knows about basketball. But that don't make him always right.
Right. And now it's in the we'll never know category anyway because he's not going to play for him anymore.
No, but Bruce Pearl has some strong comments, man, some strong words for Nate Oates and what he thought of the actions of once his contemporary. Before Bruce decided to retire, and now is in the media. But, man, hard to argue with Bruce there. I know a lot of people have taken the shots at Bruce Pearl, especially with things that he has said on Twitter outside of basketball and inside of basketball. But it's hard to argue what Bruce Pearl recently said about Nate Oates and him being selfish and him not thinking about the league in the SEC, him not thinking about the NCAA, but truly just thinking about himself and his player. And makes that Alabama-Auburn rivalry even better, even though he's not a part of it in terms of coaching. He'll always be a part of it because he's a former Auburn coach. Yeah,
Bruce is still connected to it. We have that audio. Bruce is doing work with TNT as an analyst this year now that he's no longer coaching. Listen to what Bruce Pearl said about Nate Oates' comments and Nate Oates' actions bringing Charles Bediako in now that Bediako can no longer play.
Well, I think they should consider it. I think it's something that should be talked about. And look, Dan, as you know, like anything that you would say about Purdue that would be at all critical, it doesn't matter how much you love Matt Painter, or it doesn't matter how much I respect Nate Oates. I'm the Auburn coach, so what I'm saying about Alabama must be.
So those are former comments that Bruce had made, which actually could apply here as well. I don't know what happened with the audio. We'll get you the right clip probably to start next hour. But, Bruce Pearl called Nate Oates selfish for bringing Bediako in. It was at least a distraction. They won some games with him, but now they'll have to play without him. Tells the front court what he thought of where they were at that point in the season as well to bring Bediako in.
Yeah, I would love to know the spin because, we've heard his attempts to try to spin this thing like he's done nothing wrong and Bediako's done nothing wrong. And it's the same as, any former foreign player who played pro ball since they were 12 years old, coming over to play college basketball for the first time and go to college for the first time. He's tried to spin that as the same to the public. I wonder what his spin was to his team, especially some of those post players that were not getting the job done good enough.
We do have the right audio. So here's Bruce Pearl, what he said here in the last couple of days with Bediako no longer being able to play for Alabama.
So I think then they make a decision. Nate said he'd play him 100 times again. What it tells me is that Nate really doesn't care about the SEC. He doesn't care about the NCAA. And it's fine. You're going to care about your student athletes. That's fine. But you're a member of this conference. And you're a member of the NCAA. What about the rest of the team? What about the rest of the players? Why should those 5 teams have had to play against an ineligible player? And I think it was selfish, and I think it was wrong.
Wrong and selfish. And some people are questioning the messenger. I get that, but I think a lot of people probably agree with Bruce's opinion.
Yeah, I mean, right is right, and I think Bruce Pearl is right. And Bruce, hasn't been perfect, and you don't have to be perfect to have an opinion that is correct.
Nancy asked in the text box, why are they allowed to bring anyone new in midseason? Well, one factor is that basketball is an interesting sport. It's a 2-semester sport. You play in the fall semester and the spring semester. We have seen players transfer in. Well, let's just stick with basketball. Tennessee brought in Santiago Vescovi, obviously a different situation, and he was eligible. We've seen high schoolers enroll early and be eligible to play if the team wanted to. An example there would be Jarnell Stokes at Tennessee. Yep. So that would be why. But the difference in the Bediako case, obviously, is that he was transferring in from the NBA level professional ranks with the 2-way contract he had, having been a former college player, and that's why he is not eligible after the injunction was denied.
Maybe it has lit a fire under the post players for Alabama. I think we'll see that, in their next game. But I don't see how it wouldn't, because Coach brought this guy in because you were not producing enough, and now he's not there anymore. Do you go back to producing the same amount, or do you turn it up a notch? I think we'll know whether or not these guys felt like they were challenged and that they can come out and be better since Bediako is now unable to play.
Yeah, my guess is for Alabama, they'll have a chance to win some games and very well may at the end in the postseason, because they could get hot from outside, hit a bunch of threes, and that allow them to advance. But there will be a game where they go cold. They're not good enough defensively. They can't rebound well enough. And when that happens, they miss the shots from the outside and they don't have another answer. Their season will end because of it. We'll come back. We have one more hour to go. So hour number 2 is over. 865-656-9900 if you would like to join us as we begin hour number 3. Jason Swain is here, a VFL and former Tennessee wide receiver. I'm Josh Ward. So SEC games continue tonight, which will include Tennessee at Mississippi State with a 9 o'clock Eastern time tip-off. We'll have the game and Vol Network broadcast for you beginning at 8:30. We come back to begin hour number 3 of Josh and Swain. This is Josh and Swain. Thank you for being with us as we begin hour number 3 of today's show. 865-656-9900 as we have 2 hours down. If you want to go back and listen to any of our show, you can find it on Apple, on Spotify. You can find the podcast section of the WNML app. By the way, when we're on YouTube, you can also watch the show in the WNML app, our video stream of Josh and Swain. We appreciate you hanging out with us today. The show is always presented by Junk Be Gone, online at junkbegone.biz. Swain, at the end of last hour, we were talking about the Charles Bediako situation. His injunction was denied, so he's no longer eligible to play for Alabama. In the eyes of the NCAA, he was never eligible, but he did have the temporary restraining order that allowed him to play for a few weeks in the middle of SEC season. This continues to be brought up. I think it's a confusing topic for a lot of people, understandably so. But Josh in the text box asked, are these Euro leagues like the equivalent of our AAU based on the talent that we are seeing? A lot of these guys can't see the court. There are all kinds of leagues, all kinds of different levels. You'll see the A level, B level, A being the top of a lot of the European leagues. So the answer with a lot of them is, yeah, it's more that they're in the developmental stages of their professional leagues because they don't have the typical high school AAU level that we have in the United States. Some are playing at the top level, but they're kind of all over the place from a professional standpoint. And then there have been a few in the developmental level of U.S. pro leagues, like James Nagy. He had his rights held by NBA teams. He was included in that Karl Anthony Towns trade when he was sent from the Timberwolves to the Knicks before last season. And Najee played in the G League, which is the NBA's developmental league. And we've seen some guys from Overtime Elite, which is a professional rank development setup to try to get ready for the NBA, come to play in college as well.
Yeah, I mean, if the Euro players were that good and it was such an advantage for them to come play college ball, then those guys would just go to the NBA, which they do. So the really, really good ones, they just go to the league, and we're seeing them be drafted all over the league each and every year. So there's different levels of the pro leagues. It's not a one come all, fits all type of situation there overseas. We've seen Santiago come on here at Tennessee, and honestly, offensively was better early in his career than he was later in his career. But certainly a good player for us. But I didn't think it was a huge advantage for Tennessee, to where people looked at Tennessee and go, wait a minute, that's unfair. Look across college basketball. I mean, there's a lot of players from overseas that are playing, and it's not a huge advantage. Most of the good players, or the top players that are threatening to go to the NBA, man, they're freshmen. I mean, they're freshmen from right here inside of the States. So I just couldn't really get on board with trying to make that example to make it seem like it's the same thing with Bediako coming from the G League and trying to compare it to a player coming from overseas going to college for the first time. It's just not the same.
I know a lot of fans are probably tired of this topic. I'm guessing most fans, whether you're interested in the topic or not, would like to see some sanity come into play. So maybe the ruling on Bediako will help with that. We will see what happens with they're not the same, don't get me wrong, but we'll see what happens with the Chambliss case and the Aguilar case. But remember, they're just looking to get an injunction, so it doesn't finalize anything with what happens with Chambliss. Will have his hearing tomorrow, Aguilar on Friday. So we'll still have a ways to go on getting things figured out and how eligibility works. But for athletes in junior college in the future, you're pulling for Joey Aguilar because that could potentially extend your eligibility. There are only so many athletes that will benefit from this as well. Should point that out. But we're still trying to get a hold on what exactly this is going to mean for the future of eligibility in college athletics in the Bediako case when it comes to the professional ranks, or when we're talking about the junior college or Division II case of Aguilar and Chambliss.
Yeah, I mean, the ruling Bediako made you feel like, all right, there's a chance, man. There's a chance that common sense is going to win. There's a chance that, we can get our arms around this thing, and it's still chaotic and still not a lot of rules that feel like they're being enforced. But for this one, it felt like a step in the right direction.
Yeah. So, in the text box, the difference is Euro players were never in college and gave up their right to play to then turn professional. That's correct. If a college athlete leaves, goes and plays internationally and wants to come back based on this ruling with Bediako, they should not be able to do that either.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. We'll see, man. We'll see. We'll see how Alabama's able to bounce back if it fuels them, and we'll get a good example of it here in a couple of weeks when Tennessee plays Alabama again. And this time it's going to be at Thompson Bowling Arena, Food City Center.
That's right. Tennessee has Mississippi State tonight. LSU coming up on Saturday at home. Oklahoma at home, at Vandy, at Missouri, and then Saturday, February 28th to close out the month, Bama back in Knoxville. So 8 games remain for Tennessee in the regular season before it's SEC tournament time.
Best time of the year, my man. March is on the way.
You mentioned earlier, KenPom has Tennessee winning, if you go game by game, 7 of the 8 remaining games. The only projected loss, and that's all these are, projections, is at Vanderbilt Saturday, February 21st. So 2 games remaining against Vanderbilt. They'll play at Vandy Saturday, February 21st, and then close out the regular season at home against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt with a nice road win last night at Auburn, and Vandy's been a good team. They've suffered some losses in SEC play. No surprise there. The loss to Oklahoma was surprising, but they won at Auburn last night, kind of controlled that game throughout. So Vandy will be a tough test for Tennessee. That game always ends up being that way, but Vandy's good. Vandy's a tough team, ranked by KenPom as the 13th best team in the country with a 20-4 record.
Yeah, only 4 losses, in the SEC. All of their losses are from conference play. They haven't really played anyone in the non-conference, which, listen, that's a true statement, but it doesn't mean that they're not good. That was the questions about those guys before conference play, but they have proven themselves to be still a good team. This is a team that's top 20 in both offense and defensive efficiency. So this is a good team that they've proven to be a serious contender inside this league.
Yeah, their best non-conference wins, talking about Vandy, would be probably SMU or St. Mary's. Now, they blew those 2 teams out. So those were quality in terms of the way they won those games, went to overtime against Memphis. Memphis has not been very good this season, and beat UCF, which is a top 50 team. But yeah, in SEC play, that's where their real competition has come. But they've been good overall in SEC play, up and down as most teams are. But wins at Auburn, win against Kentucky. They destroyed Kentucky at home a few weeks ago, and they beat Alabama, just like Tennessee did. So Tennessee at Mississippi State tonight. We were somewhat challenged. We said, hey, this could be a tune-up opportunity. Said, don't call these tune-up games. Been around Tennessee sports too often. Tennessee needs to treat the next 3 games as either tune-up or work on something opportunities, because you have Mississippi State, LSU, Oklahoma, 3 of the bottom teams in the SEC, with tougher games coming up after that.
Well, Slay said it yesterday. He didn't say tune-up, but he talked about this is a team that is fueled by the guard play. And if you get about some points, then, all right, now we're running stuff for the post players. Now we're throwing the ball into the post probably more and trying to get those guys more production from those guys, because that can help you moving along. So, yeah, like you treat it kind of like a game in football where, all right, you're putting the starters on the bench a little bit, you're putting other guys in, and you're working on stuff for the next game. I think it's really the same thing, because if you are playing in the NCAA tournament, playing in the SEC tournament in a single elimination scenario, I doubt you're throwing the ball into the post like we did when Grant Williams was in the post. I doubt you're throwing the ball into the post 20-plus times like Purdue was throwing it to Zach Edey. This is a team that's led by the guards. And so if you are able to come out and go up by double digits and find yourself up 20 there in the second half, then yeah, I mean, it could be a tune-up opportunity in the second half, but you're not able to do that unless you play the way you're capable of playing in the first half and the second half. Now, we saw that, come to play against Ole Miss, in the second half. You got to come out and play like you played in the second half versus Ole Miss, you have to play it that way in the first half against Mississippi State, which will be hard because, again, it's at the Hump, and the Hump is a hard place to play. And they haven't been good, which is why you have to come out early and assert yourself and assert your will.
You have plenty of time to wait and see what happens. 9 o'clock Eastern tip-off for Tennessee at Mississippi State tonight on ESPN2, and we'll have the Vol Network coverage for you. Before the segment ends, Randy asked in the text box, would you consider all of Tennessee's basketball transfers this season a bust except for Jacoby Gillespie? Jalen Carey is not what I thought he would be game in, game out. I definitely would not call Jalen Carey a bust. He has had consistency issues. Rick Barnes has talked about that and the challenge for him to be more consistent, but I wouldn't call him a bust. I thought in the first half what he did against Auburn was a huge factor in Tennessee winning that game. He was really good against Houston. He's had other games where he played an important role. Consistency is what you're looking for from Jalen Carey. His stats, I think, are almost identical, a little bit better at Tennessee than what he did at Vanderbilt. But he was a reserve. He was not a starter at Vandy. I did not expect him to be an all SEC level contender. I thought he would be a guy that would strengthen the front court. I think he has done that. But yes, you would like to see more consistency from Jalen in the way that he plays.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that all of them are busts. I mean, I think what Jalen has done to this point has been below my expectations of what he could do, here. I think a bust would be not giving you anything. And listen, right now there are some guys that have transferred in that right now are not giving you anything that you would probably consider more as a bust than Jalen Carey. So no, I wouldn't consider Carey a bust. I will say I'm a little disappointed that we're not seeing more from him at this point. I mean, again, the last game, he had 1 point, 0 field goal attempts. As much as we know about Rick Barnes and him wanting to throw the ball onto the post, what do we see from most timeouts? Coming out of a timeout, when Tennessee has the ball, there's usually a play drawn up that the announcers point to as, Rick Barnes, he's gonna draw up a play to get the ball to the paint, get the ball to the post. I wouldn't have guessed in 1,000 years that Jalen Carey versus Kentucky would only have 1 point. So no, not a bust, but I think right now he has been disappointing with his production. And whatever it is, this team needs for him to be better, to be more consistent. Vanderbilt's coming up here in a couple games. I know he wants to stick it to his old team. So some of the comments he made after committing to Tennessee, but you can't wait to do it then. You got to do it now.
Yeah, so a bust, no, would not say that at all about Jalen Carey, but more consistent would definitely say that. And you know who else has said it? Rick Barnes, Tennessee's coach. We appreciate the text, the interaction, 865-656-9900. If you'd like to be part of the show, 45 minutes to go. Presented by Jung Begon on Josh and Swain.
Hiller Plumbing, Cooling, and Electrical, they've been in business since 1990. Family owned and operated. They believe in their work, and they believe that you should be 100% satisfied with their work. They have a satisfaction guarantee in place for you. Happy you'll be, or the service is free. That's their motto. That's what they stand by. If you, the customer, if you're not pleased with the work performed, they'll make sure to make it right. Professional, experienced, trustworthy. Their technicians come into your home and they leave it cleaner and better than they found it. They treat your family like you would want your own family to be treated. Being welcome into your home is something Hiller doesn't take lightly. They're trained to make sure that you're not ever left without services you need to be comfortable and safe. You can book appointments online, and in a few minutes, you can handle setting an appointment without ever picking up the phone. Learn more at happyhiller.com.
This is Josh and Swain. Thanks for being with us. Presented by Junk Beyond, East Tennessee's junk removal specialist, 865-656-9900 to be part of the show. Swain, love a good quarterback ranking list, especially as right now the quarterback position in the SEC has a big TBD tag. We're waiting to see what happens officially with Trinidad Chambliss and Joey Aguilar, but you can have the conversation kind of assuming what happens and then adjust accordingly with their court cases coming up. Saw Michael Bratton share his ranking of the SEC quarterbacks 1 through 16. Again, this is somewhat based on projections of who will start. He has the popular That SEC podcast, his number one ranked quarterback, and these are QB rankings 1.0. They are subject to change over the next 6 to 7 months. I would understand that. His number one quarterback is Trinidad Chambliss at Ole Miss. Number 2 is Lenore Sellers at South Carolina. Then Gunnar Stockton at Georgia. Number 4 is a newcomer, Byron Brown, who transfers from USF to Auburn to play for his coach, Alex Golish, as Brown played there the last couple of seasons. John Mateer at Oklahoma is number 5. Arch Manning is number 6, might be controversial to some. Sam Levitt, number 7. Marcel Reed, number 8. And then Joey Aguilar, number 9 in his quarterback rankings. Number 16 at the bottom, it's a freshman who is highly touted, but obviously unproven, Jared Curtis at Vanderbilt.
I'm glad it's 1.0. I mean, how do you have Joey Aguilar down there with what he did last year after only having a chance to learn the offense for, 8 weeks? Maybe 9? With a health condition that affected his throwing, he still was able to put up 3,600 plus yards. And he's coming back with a lot of his offensive line, same running back. Most of his receivers, except for Chris Brazzell, he's not going to be here. I don't know how you put Joe Aguilar way down there. Now, physical abilities, listen, I get it, man. There's other guys who are going to be ranked higher. But how do you have Lenore Sellers at number 2 and Joey Aguilar way at number 9? How do you have John Mateer above Joey Aguilar? When you take the body of work last season. Now, in the game, Tennessee, Oklahoma, John Mateer was better. But the body of work in the regular season, how do you have those guys so far apart? And how do you take a guy in Brown, who was good at South Florida, how do you put him so high when he hasn't taken a snap in this league yet? Sam Levitt hasn't taken a snap in this league yet. But it's not my list. That's his list.
That's right. Yeah, if you remember last year, that was just last year, but a lot of the quarterback lists, probably all of them, were way off. Remember the summer talk last year? Was it Arch? Is it Lagway? Is it Nussmeier? I mean, Arch got better as the year went along, but Lenore's. I mean, Lenore's was nowhere near his preseason ranking by the time we got to the end of the 2025 season.
Yeah, listen, I understood why Aguilar was ranked low last year. I had no problem with him being last. I had no problem with it. But you can't do that this year. Not with what he did behind the worst defense in the league. I mean, he had more pressure on him because the defense was so bad. So every mistake that he did make, whether it was an interception or a fumble, it was magnified double because you knew the defense was probably not going to get a stop. So, again, I can't see how Joe Aguilar is higher.
Yeah, it's funny because 6, 7, 8, and 9 all feel a little low. Arch Manning at number 6, Sam Levitt at number 7, Marcel Reed at 8, and then Joey Aguilar at number 9. I recognize guys have to rank. So Brown could end up being a top 4 quarterback in the SEC. I'd like to see it in the SEC versus just projecting based on what he did at USF. It helps that he knows the offense. He comes in having run the offense from Alex Golish at USF, now at Auburn. But
you know who else knows offense?
What's that?
You know who else knows the offense, the Golish's offense?
Joey Aguilar?
Everybody. Everybody in this league knows the
Oh,
offense.
I got you. Yeah, the
You know what
opposing
I'm saying?
defenses. Yeah, sure.
So it's not like 2021 where Heupel and Golish were head coach and offensive coordinator, and they were hitting the league with this new stuff.
Yeah.
No, man. This league is prepared for that offense because they've up against it since 2021. So I'm sorry, Golish is not going to bring anything to the league that's new. People will be prepared for this offense.
Yeah. And to be clear, he was awesome. Byron Brown was awesome at USF. He accounted for 42 touchdowns this past season. So I don't mean to take away from what he did. It's just the conversation is now in the SEC. You want to see what he does at this level.
Gotta prove it
As
first.
you mentioned, Joey was ranked at the bottom. He obviously outperformed everybody's expectation this season, and Brown could do that. I don't know if he's going to outperform top 4 expectation, but we'll probably see these lists
They'll change.
a little more all over the place, at least in the top 10. The bottom 5 or 6 is going to include guys that haven't played in the league. So you have Kamario Taylor, who played some for Mississippi State, then Austin Simmons, who played some at Ole Miss. Now he's at Missouri. Austin Mack, he may not even be the starter at Bama. KJ Jackson at Arkansas. Aaron Philo at Florida. He's a transfer from Georgia Tech. Kenny Minchie at Kentucky is a transfer from Notre Dame. And then Jared Curtis is a freshman at Vanderbilt.
Yeah,
So among the guys returning or guys who have been starters elsewhere, Joey Aguilar would rank last among those guys on this list.
Yeah, how do you lead the league in passing at one point at the end of the season? And the only reason why you're not higher is because the guys who are in front of you played 2 or 3 extra games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you find yourself at 9 and you were blazing the league the way you were blazing the league? And again, I was the one that was okay with Aguilar being last this time last year because he had to prove it, right? So it's not being biased because he's a Tennessee guy. I would say the same thing for anybody that was in that position that Joey was in last year, passing for as many yards that he passed for.
Shannon in the text box, if the list made sense, you would not be discussing it. Fair point, at least not the amount of time that we have. We'd bring it up if he were ranked number 1. Probably wouldn't spend as much time talking about it. There is one other key point, both for Joey and Trinidad Chambliss. They also need the ruling they are seeking in court to be able to prove the list either right or wrong this upcoming season. But that's for Michael Bratton. Always appreciate the work that he does, making things interesting around the SEC. His QB rankings 1.0. The list might be different by the time the season kicks off, coming up here in about 6.5 months.
Oh, it will be different.
865-656-9900 to be part of the show. And attaboy to hand out a new quarterback commitment for Tennessee in the 2027 class. That news earlier today. So a lot to cover and more time for you to join us at 865-656-9900. Jason Swain is here. I'm Josh Ward. We are presented by Junk Begon on Josh and Swain. Hey, it's Josh. I want to tell you about Ted Russell Ford, your super dealer, locations on Kingston Pike and Parkside Drive. They have the President's Day sales event going on now. It's going on all month long at Ted Russell Ford. It's a great time to shop if you were looking for a brand new Ford, or you can shop and look at all their different certified pre-owned Ford vehicles. And you can find them online at tedrussellford.net. They have more than 550 vehicles in stock. 574 is the number right now when you look at the website, tedrussellford.net. Makes it a great time if you are shopping for a new truck. Look at the different options they have with the Ford F-Series. They have different combinations available to fit what you need in a truck. If you need work trucks, Ted Russell Ford can help you. I have shopped at both locations on Kingston Pike and Parkside Drive. Each time they helped me and they helped my family find exactly what we needed at that time. They can do the same for you. They can help you with financing. They can help you with service after the fact. They can help you with mobile service. They can come to you as a customer at Ted Russell Ford. You can stop by either location, Kingston Pike or Parkside Drive, or start how I started by going to tedrussellford.net. Back on Josh and Swain. Thank you for being with us today as we continue today's show until 3 o'clock, presented by Junk Beyond, online at junkbeyond.biz. And attaboy to hand out still before we close things up at 3 o'clock. And still time for you to join us at 865-656-9900. Earlier in the show, Austin Price joined us, as he does every Wednesday, thanks to Colossal Productions. And the conversation began with the news of the day for Tennessee on the recruiting front. That's Tennessee landing a commitment from quarterback Derek Baker. He is a prospect out of Milton High School in Alpharetta, Georgia, a talent-rich area, an area where Tennessee has recruited in the past. Everybody from the SEC wants to recruit Milton High School and recruit in Alpharetta. Austin shared with us what Tennessee is getting, what the recruitment was like, why it was important for Tennessee to wrap things up with Baker this early in the recruiting process. Earlier today, Austin Price talking about new Tennessee quarterback commit Derek Baker in the 2027 class.
Tennessee really fell in love with him at camp last summer. Josh, really impressive performance. I was there. He threw it really, really well. He's a big, thick kid, a little over 6 foot tall. Probably could grow another inch, but I mean, you can't teach. If you could take a couple of inches from George and give it to Baker, or take a couple of pounds from Baker and give it to George, it'd be perfect. He's thick though and can run. The biggest thing is just staying healthy for him. Has all the tools. And again, originally from the state of Florida, moved up to Atlanta a couple of years ago, playing at Milton, played for Cam Newton's 7-on-7 team. And again, one that Tennessee really targeted hard the last, I would say, 3 or 4 months, but really started to pick up the pace and put on the pressure probably the last 35, 40 days.
Yeah. How important was it, do you think, to Tennessee staff to, if you would describe it this way, get out in front of some other schools who could potentially push harder for Derek later in the spring?
I think they knew that they needed to get this done now and not wait. And, again, he really, really likes Tennessee a good amount. He talked about how much, he loves the color orange. He's like, man, that was the first thing. Because I didn't really know a ton about Tennessee before I went up there for that camp. But he goes, I knew I loved their colors. Orange has been my favorite color my whole life. And he goes, I love the passion, just going through there for other things the last handful of years, going through the state and just seeing people wearing the Tennessee T-shirts and that type of stuff. He goes, you can just tell their fan base is really, really strong. And he really liked what Tennessee has to offer. And Tennessee was pretty adamant about trying to get this one done sooner rather than later, and they were able to do so today.
So Derek Baker committing to Tennessee earlier today. Swain, good news for Tennessee. And I think Tennessee staff, again, we talk about this and try to point back to what Josh Heupel's approach is. Joey Halsley, the OC and quarterbacks coach as well. But Heupel identified this guy. They wanted to get this done quickly before other schools were probably going to make a stronger push. Tennessee did that today.
That's what evaluation is all about. When you have trust in your own evaluation, you don't need someone else to validate how you feel about a player. You don't need a recruiting service to give a player a 4-star or a 5-star for you to determine if this player can win for you. And that's why I like these type of commitments the most. When you notice a player early and you bring him on campus and you show him that love, you treat him like he's a 5-star player. And then when he becomes one, that loyalty comes into play, and he'll be a player that recruits for you. He'll be a player that you don't have to worry about flipping unless the money is just out of this world from another place and you just can't help it, and he will have no choice. But, for the most part, he should be a guy that can help you build his class. And, hey, man, we pay quarterbacks well, whether they are transfer guys or guys out of high school. So, we were able to have Faison and Brandon locked in with us for a very, very long time. I think there's a reason why.
So Tennessee gets commitment from Derek Baker. This is, of course, a conversation for a few years down the road. You never know with high school quarterbacks. I think everybody recognizes that now. But getting a quarterback in your class is important. Tennessee did that here on February 11th for the 2027 class. And he's a guy that I'm guessing, if things go as expected this spring and summer and then during his senior season, he's ranked higher, for whatever that's worth to you. But I wouldn't pay as much attention to the ranking as the evaluation and the fit with what Tennessee wants. But he suffered the injury, the wrist injury that cost him most of his junior season. He'll look to bounce back. He's back throwing and playing and will be active this spring, summer, and again in the fall. So Derek Baker, 2027 quarterback commit for Tennessee out of Milton High School in Alpharetta, Georgia. We'll come back with an attaboy to hand out in our final segment for you to connect with us at 865-656-9900. With Jason Swain, I'm Josh Ward as we continue on Josh and Swain. Go back and listen Search Josh and Swain anywhere you get your podcast. Would love for you to subscribe. If you listen on Spotify or Apple, you can find us in the WNML app. Every day live with you on 99.1 The Sports Animal and AM 640 The Sports Monster. Thank you for tuning in today. We'll be back tomorrow at 12 o'clock. We will have a lot to discuss. We'll react, Swain, to tonight's Tennessee-Mississippi State game. We'll have some important things to talk to you about with Second Harvest Food Bank of East Tennessee. So tomorrow will be a fun show. Will be an important show from 12 until 3. 9 o'clock Eastern time. We'll see how Tennessee performs. Bounce back spot. I expect that Tennessee will play well. Could be spotty. It's on the road. Some up and down runs. But Tennessee should get the win. I think will get the win at Mississippi State tonight.
Yeah, I think Tennessee will win, too. It's just, how will it look? How will we get to that W? Will it be a W that you feel good about? Okay, yeah, Tennessee addressed some issues. It's not like this is the first loss of the season. So there's been other times when Tennessee lost, and they had opportunity to prove that they fixed issues. But for this team, this is different because this has been in the middle of a mint run as far as putting the ball in the basket. This has been in the middle of a duo run between Mint and Gillespie. Even with Gillespie only having 1 point in the second half, I think there's a clear understanding now more than it was a week or two ago or even a month ago of the best path for this team to be playing at their best and to get wins moving forward. And that is through the big two and finding that third scorer and then having some production from the group in the front court, on top of the rebounding and Tennessee being consistently the best team on the offensive glass. So will we see that on display tonight? That's going to be the question. How do you get to that win?
9 o'clock Eastern time tip-off. The game will be on ESPN2 for your viewing pleasure, and we will have the radio broadcast with Vol Network coverage beginning at 8:30 tonight. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about it at 12 o'clock. Right now, with a few minutes to go, we hand out today's Attaboy.
I just wanted to come by and congratulate you on the great work you've been doing.
I like your style. You remind me of a young me.
Failure is not an option.
That boy is good.
Always remind yourself, nobody built like you. You design yourself. Attaboy.
So we hand out Attaboys and Attagirls every day, and we do that looking at big-time accomplishments in the sports world, those doing really good things in the real world. And sometimes big-time sports accomplishments come with really cool stories, and that's the case today, Swain, as going into yesterday, it had been 50 years since an American male had won an Olympic medal in cross-country skiing. Well, the streak has ended, and again, there is a cool story attached to it. Ben Ogden captured the silver in yesterday's Sprint Classic. He became the first American man in 50 years to win an Olympic medal in cross-country skiing. Bill Koch was a 1976 silver medalist. He was the only other one to do so. And the cool story is Ogden grew up, also being from Vermont, like Koch, grew up in the Bill Koch Youth Ski League. So he has skied with Koch, learned within his ski league, and now 50 years after Bill Koch did it in 1976, Ben Ogden has snapped the streak for the Americans with a silver medal in the Olympics.
Man, that's like a movie type of ending right there. I mean, following his paths and then be able to do it, snapping a 50-year streak is amazing. And I've always been just so impressed and blown away with Olympic skiers and their ability to be able to do what they do on snow. A week and a half ago, we couldn't walk outside without slipping and falling. These folks out here getting gold medals for sliding on it and skiing on it and doing backflips on it. It's crazy.
Yeah, the amount of focus, the intensity my mindset was in just to make sure I didn't slip and fall while shoveling my driveway.
Exactly.
Yep, Ben's out there breaking a 50-year drought for the Americans in the Olympics. So he was able to accomplish what his hero did 50 years before. One note that I saw is Ogden said he finally allowed himself to believe he belonged on an Olympic podium, and that belief helped change how he was able to go out there and ski and succeed, and he is that. He is not just an Olympian. He is a silver medalist for the first time for the Americans in 50 years since Bill Koch did it. So an attaboy to American Ben Ogden with his medal yesterday in cross-country skiing. We hand out attaboys and attagirls every day. There's a lot of good things happening, a lot of positivity to share. We share it with you every day here on the show. Attaboy to American Ben Ogden.
Wow. That's a good one right there, man. That really is.
Yeah, especially the note about his mindset, especially in that sport or really any Olympic sport we're talking about, with the amount of time, the amount of training that goes into preparing for this event. I know there are other events you compete in, but this is the pinnacle, and you spend so much time getting ready for this event. Maybe you'll get multiple shots, maybe you get one shot, and for it to play out that way for him, really cool story.
Yeah, cool story for him for sure. I've been blown away with like Lindsey Vonn, tearing her ACL, continuing to train, and going back out there. And I know she was unsuccessful. She wound up getting hurt again. But like the level of toughness and focus and commitment to your craft and toughness. Who's doing that? Playing with their torn ACL or performing with a torn ACL. You're supposed to sit down somewhere when you tear an ACL, but she didn't do that. So yeah, I got a lot of respect for those skiers and those who perform in these Olympic sports, because we don't function well when it's 30 degrees and they out here, skiing and going 50 miles per hour down the side of a mountain like it's nothing. No, sir, we are not doing that over here or down here.
Well, maybe it's time to change our mindset, Swain.
It's not time. It is not time.
No, it's probably not. We'll just continue to highlight those who have the right mindset. Correct. And have the right approach. Guys like Ben Ogden out there with what he did in the Olympics.
Yeah, we'll just give those guys an attaboy and give the girls an attagirl for doing it. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, my mindset is on preparing for a game that, Swain, is still a little more than 6 hours away. Tennessee and Mississippi State, which will tip off probably closer to about 9:10 tonight.
You can brew some coffee around 7 o'clock, and you'll be okay, man.
You can bet on that. Hey, this question out the door. We were talking about the QB ranking 1.0 from Michael Bratton. He said, interesting to know, if Joey doesn't get to play, where would George McIntyre or Faison Brandon be ranked on that list?
Well, they should
probably
be
near the bottom with the need to prove themselves.
Yeah, they should be last. Listen, if you got Jared Curtis on that list, and he's number one player in the country coming in as a true freshman, I would probably put Faison Brandon right in front of him or right below him based on what you think he's going to do as a freshman and the talent around him. George McIntyre, I would have him low on the list too. I mean, no reason why those first-year players should be high when you have other guys that have done in this league and have been pretty successful in the league.
Yeah, and the other funny thing about these conversations, while you want to see your guy ranked high, if Joey Aguilar, assuming he gets to play, if I'm Joey Aguilar, I say good. Rank me in the bottom half of the league. I just led the league in passing yards, and then I'm in a bottom half quarterback going into 2026. If I'm Josh Heupel, I love that. But we will have the next 6.5 months to discuss the quarterback position, and we'll discuss it again tomorrow. There's the hearing coming up on Friday, and we will see what happens from there. We'll talk Tennessee basketball, more Tennessee football, and we'll see what happens over the next 21 hours and discuss it with you tomorrow. Thank you for hanging out with us today. Joel Silverberg producing. Thank you. See you and talk to you tomorrow at noon on Josh and Swain.